All right, hey guys, welcome to part three. This will be the third and final part of my Marvel collection. Um, because we are literally down to the end of the pile. Hang on, let me fix my hair. Yeah, I know, I need a bloody haircut. Please tell me something I don't know. Anyway, okay. So, Captain America the Winter Soldier, I actually got to see this in the theater with my now brother-in-law. And we had a great time. And when they did the Hydra reveal, spoilers for an almost 10-year movie, when it's revealed that Hydra has been operating secretly within S.H.I.E.L.D. for the past 70 years, my jaw about dropped to the floor. I'm not kidding. So yeah, X-Men Days of Future Past, one of the best X-Men movies in this franchise. This managed to combine the first class cast with the original cast, and I thought it did great. I think my favorite scene in this movie is the one with Patrick Stewart and James McAvoy, where you have the two Xaviers just talking to each other. And I really hope the Flash movie does that with Affleck and Keaton, but a part of me doesn't think they're going to. Like, honestly, I really hope they do with the Flash movie, have Keaton and Affleck interact, but a part of me thinks they're not going to, sadly. Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 1, or just Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess. Yeah, this was a huge surprise for me in the theater. Because I saw the trailer. Like, I saw the trailer for this movie, and I saw it in the Phase 2 lineup, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna suck. And then I saw this in the movie, and I'm like, oh, okay, I think I just ate my words and kicked my own ass. Because this movie was fucking awesome. And I'm really looking forward to Volume 3 next month. I almost said this month, but it's still technically April. And yeah, I loved this movie. This movie is amazing. So yeah, I hope Volume 3 sticks the landing on this trilogy. You know, I really do. Though Volume 3 is gonna take place after Endgame, I kind of wish it didn't. But we can't change that stuff. Like Age of Ultron, I enjoy this movie. I think it's underrated. I know a lot of people didn't like this movie when it first came out. I don't think because it felt like a step down from the first Avengers movie, but I think it's still pretty good. You know, I heard Whedon had a 3-hour cut of this movie, which honestly I wish they would have released it because given Endgame, which came out like 4 years later, was 3 hours. I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't have released a 3-hour cut of this movie. But I kind of get why they wanted to maximize the amount of money they can make, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. But I think the 3-hour cut would have worked. Ant-Man, another surprise, I think, when it comes to the Marvel catalog. Because I don't think and plus, I think when people heard that Edgar Wright left the movie, a lot of people, I think, wrote it off. But this was an enjoyable movie regardless. I've seen some people probably call this a rehash pile of dog shit, which I can kind of understand their criticism because it does kind of feel like a reach out of the first Iron Man movie because you essentially have Darren Cross who's essentially working for the company of a billionaire's tech company, trying to sell their tech to terrorist people, and now a title hero has to kind of stop them from doing said evil deed. So yes, it does kind of feel like the first Ant-Man or the first Iron Man movie, but regardless, I still enjoy this film. Deadpool. Now this I think was a huge surprise to fans because of what we were given in X-Men Origins Wolverine with, let's be honest, he was fucking Barakapool in that movie. Like seriously, he was Barakapool. And it's kind of ironic that the guy who's known for never shutting up literally had his mouth sewn up. I don't know much about Deadpool, but that's pretty sad. Hell, even Reynolds was upset about that, which is one of the reasons why they made this movie. And he succeeded, my friends. This was fucking awesome. This was my number one favorite movie of 2016. And it was awesome. I eagerly await Deadpool 3. And they finally announced that Marina Baccarin's coming back. It is about damn time they announced it. Because, I'll get to it when I talk about Deadpool 2. Captain America Civil War. This movie, I have issues with. I enjoy it, but I have issues. Like how people compared it to BVS, about how people compared the Batman movie and trying to say, oh, this was the better movie. Even though they're both technically the same film. They both have a villain who's manipulating them both heroes. They both open with a botched rescue in Africa. They both deal with the death of the billionaire's parents who wears armor who wears souped up armor to fight the red, white, and blue hero. You know, they both, like I said, have a botched rescue in Africa where their hero who wears red, white, blue is blamed for it, etc., etc., etc. People even complain about the Martha scene, how in BVS when Clark says Martha, it made Bruce freeze in place. That's what happens here. Crossbones, who dies in the first 5 minutes, just says Bucky, and then Steve freezes in place. Yeah, they're pretty much the same fucking movie. The only difference is this movie had 12 movies of build-up. That's it. That's the only difference. And I've said this before, my friends, that I don't think the Accords work because the fact is the disaster, like all the incidents the Avengers are being blamed for, are not their fault. All they did was clean up other people's messes. Like New York, okay? It was S.H.I.E.L.D., the government, who were experimenting with a tesseract that will locate the Chitauri to Earth. Okay? Not to mention, the World Security Council overruled Fury and damn near launched a nuclear missile at New York. DC, let's see, oh yeah, Hydra had hijacked 3 helicarriers and was about to annihilate half the fucking planet. The only relevant event, the only event that's even relevant was Sokovia, and it's only relevant to Tony Stark. The other Avengers are helping Tony to clean up his fucking mess. So why should they be held accountable for Tony's shit? Yes, I understand why Tony was on the side of the government, because he created Ultron and it got some woman's kid killed. The woman who basically ambushed him at his conference presentation thing. So I get why Tony was on the side of the government, and I get why Steve was on the other side because of what happened in Winter Soldier. He trusted the government. They stabbed him in the back by being revealed to be Hydra. So I get why both Tony and Steve are on the sides they're on. But again, the only event that's relevant is is Sokovia, but it's only relevant to Tony. And yeah, you gotta love how the villain of this movie, like that's the problem with this movie, I think. For all this movie's called Captain America Civil War, it plays more like an Avengers movie. Seriously. Like the whole central conflict, and even the Accords, the villain, like the main villain, the conflict, and the Accords all deal with Age of Ultron, not Winter Soldier. And I think that was the biggest, and I know I'm going on a fucking tirade here, but I think that was the biggest problem with them killing Crossbones in the first 5 minutes. Because if you kept Crossbones as the villain, it would have felt more like a sequel to Winter Soldier, because you still could have had Crossbones do everything that Zemo does in this movie. Because Crossbones would have a legitimate reason for trying to break up the Avengers. They broke up Hydra. Cap fucked up his face. He would have a legitimate reason for trying to take out the Avengers. But no, just kills Crossbones off in the first 5 fucking minutes and just throw in a villain who we don't give a shit about because we never get to know his family. All we hear is a fucking voicemail that he plays for every 5 minutes. Not to mention, so you tell us, movie, that Zemo has the codes to control these 5 super soldiers, but instead he just fucking kills them. Seriously? I mean, the Avengers could barely take down a brainwashed Bucky. Imagine trying to take out 5 brainwashed Buckies. But no, Zemo just fucking kills them. God, you're a dumbass, dude. Anyway, sorry for the little rant. But that was about 7 years coming, I think. Anyway, X-Men Apocalypse, an underrated X-Men movie. I highly enjoy it, despite what people say about it. Logan, this was a fun, entertaining movie. I actually admire the balls they killed Logan in this movie. Speaking of, Jackman and Reynolds have said that the Logan that Jackman will play in Deadpool 3 will not affect this one. This Logan will still stay dead. Thank you. Though, I will say though, the bullet that Logan, the adamantium bullet that Logan keeps with him, is a very convenient bullet because PG-13 wipes out memories. Rated R blows your fucking head off. That's convenient. I don't know. That was just something funny I wanted to bring up. Guardians Volume 2. Now, I really liked this movie. This was a great sequel. And honestly, this kind of, in a way, I don't know if it copies, but kind of, yeah, I guess copies The Empire Strikes Back better than what The Last Jedi tried to do. Because this one doesn't even try to, and yet it still does. Because think about it. This is the second act in the trilogy. It splits the main characters up for most of the film. The main villain of the movie is the father of the main protagonist. Does this sound any different? And also, the main protagonist and the main antagonist, who are father and son, actually fight each other in the climax. Now, does this at all sound fucking familiar? Yeah, it sounds like Empire. Which I thought was kind of funny. Spider-Man Homecoming, this was awesome. This was better than the 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies. Yes, I say that. Sue me. And I even liked that they fought Vulture in this movie, and honestly, Vulture I thought was a much better, average Joe villain than Zemo was. Because you actually understood his motive. You understood Vulture's motive. Vulture was a contractor of the city who got screwed out of his job when Tony created the Department of Damage Control, who were assigned to clean up after the Avengers battles and stuff. And Toomes felt he got screwed over by that. And so basically what he did was he sold weapons under the table in order to make money to provide for his family. I understood that motive, and it was a very sympathetic one. Deadpool 2. Now, as I said when I talk about Deadpool, I want to talk about the Marina Baccarin thing. So, it's announced they brought her back for Deadpool 3, which I'm glad. Because, in the commentary for this movie, when I watched the episode, I watched part of the commentary, both Reynolds and Leach said that the ending scene in the credits, where Wade goes back in time and undoes Vanessa's death, was actually a reshoot because during test screenings, the audiences were upset that Vanessa was killed. Because Vanessa was really supposed to die in this movie. But due to test screenings, they brought her back. And so for a while, I'm like, okay, when are they going to announce Baccarin coming back to Deadpool 3? When are they going to announce her back? And for a while, it looked like she was going to. So I'm like, oh, great. So you did that scene in Deadpool 2 for nothing. But they recently announced her return, and I'm glad for that, because it makes the credit scene have a reason to be there. By the way, this was a fucking awesome movie. I forgot to mention that. I started. Ant-Man and the Wasp. I recently bought this a couple months ago on Blu-ray, and I'm glad I have it. Avengers Endgame. This was dope. This was awesome. Captain Marvel made no sense being in this movie. She had no purpose. She's only in the movie for 6 minutes, and you could easily write her out. Spider-Man Far From Home. A fun, entertaining movie. I like Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio, which ironically fun fact, he was ironically going to play Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2 because Tobey Maguire broke his back during filming Seabiscuit, and they weren't sure Maguire was going to be able to reprise the role of Spider-Man. So they did consider Jake Gyllenhaal at one point, but Maguire's doctor said he was medically cleared enough to do the movie, And so obviously Gyllenhaal didn't play the role. So knowing that bit of trivia, I like that they got him for Mysterio. And then finally, Black Widow. This movie kind of feels like Winter Soldier at times. Like it really does. And I get why they set this movie after Civil War because they killed her off in Endgame, so it's kind of, so how do you make a Black Widow movie when she's dead? You kind of set it earlier in the timeline. So I like what they did here. Like I like this. I enjoy this movie, but it's not perfect, obviously. So that's my Marvel collection in 3 videos. Hope you guys enjoyed.